Welcome back. It is the Face of Friday Night. Peter Kibazo, David Pulkol, Charles Romshana, and Morrison Rakakamba. David.
Yes, I was saying vetting is an intelligence operation. It involves knowing, actual due diligence. Who are you? Who do you move with? What do you discuss? Where do you go? What do you... So it's a very elaborate process. Like if you're vetting somebody to be appointed, like an ambassador, or vetted to be vetted for a certain position. So you even go into finding out a bit more about the person. Now that is intelligence. Now if this is now what the RDCs do for a single party, which also in my view is really a state party. It is fused with the state. That's why central government representatives are given this function. Now what I don't know is how much is NRM as a party paying the RDCs for doing this job, for being party functionaries, and whether if the RDCs are driving on the left, they are allowed also to drive on the right, whether we shall not have an accident. Because who are you? Are you a party functionary? In that case, you must be at the party headquarters, be at the party offices in the district, and be one of the organs and functionaries of the party. Or you are actually seconded to the state, if you like, and therefore function as a central government representative. And therefore, please divorce your activities, your partisan activities, because the central government you serve is for all citizens of Uganda. And that's why even President Museveni goes wrong and says, the IGP Kale Kaihura is a cadre, okay? So to him, he's NRM, okay? But for the time he has been ceded off to the state to man a critical organ of the state, like the police. Please help us to cut that umbilical cord and allow the individual to function professionally in a more non-partisan way. So this way of using state apparatus to do internal party work, to use party, central government paid from the treasury to do internal party work is actually an abuse of office in my view. So what does the GISO do? Because the GISO, the PISO, the VISO, I think Village Internal Security Officer,
do we have
I think even the Household Internal Security, HISO, will come soon. So what do they do? Because these are people, these are the people who live with these people. The RDC in the district. Does he know these people at all? You're using a wrong person to vet these people because the person does not...
Let me understand this. So David, you're saying that do not use the RDC. He's so far away.
Yeah.
Use the...
Secondly.
Use the... I mean, what does it
now,
change?
I'm saying
you're
that...
still using the state machinery.
I'm still saying even that is wrong. So even if you take the most charitable view, if you want to be generous to NRM, that they're doing the right thing. Of course, they're doing the wrong thing.
Let me ask you, gentlemen.
Now, let me come back to this.
Hold on. Because I want to be really sincere.
I want to tell you.
David and Charles, are you telling me that, one, this surprises any of you? Two, hasn't it anyway been happening? Hasn't intelligence been managing elections, looking at what Kibazo is going to vote?
When NRM was a political system in the constitution, but the day it became a political party, that becomes illegal.
The problem,
but it has been happening, hasn't it?
Because they smuggled something called a political system, which was intellectual fraud.
Can you receive a little information from Morrison?
The point of information is that if you are not a criminal, why should you fear to be vetted? And like I told you, RDCs are not party functionaries. They are public officials, and they make sure that all of us are safe. Whether you are CP, whether you are FDC.
They do that
the business of police is law and order. That is why you saw that even in Nambori, when the FDC was holding its delegates conference, the police was there to make sure that there is security. And we are in a different era, the era of terrorism. You saw what happened in Kenya. The NRM cannot take chances. We must make sure that the avalanche of people, 10,000 people, because NRM is a mass organization, coming over Kampala, traveling, it has to be safe. So if you are David Purkor, if you are Gomushana and a citizen of Uganda, you should have an interest in security
not doing
this country.
Not doing internal party work.
No, they are not.
This is partisan.
No, it's not internal. There is
and using taxpayers' money to do.
There is no RDC.
Can we listen to
there is no RDC who will be in Nambori attending the meeting of NRM. But it is the business of any public official to make sure that if people are moving to Nambori, move safely.
I think they're missing a big point.
Do these people want our people to be waylaid?
Listen.
No.
They already do that
No,
quietly.
not at all. And
You can't
if you are,
finish this.
if you are
Let me
UPC,
finish. Let me finish
No,
this
no,
point.
if you are UPC,
let me finish this point.
request, no, the RIPC will
come
make
on.
sure that you
would
have
be
got
wrong.
a
That
clear-
would be
David
an
finish this
abuse
point.
of our
No,
systems.
absolutely
Gentlemen,
We don't want to abuse our state
Gentlemen,
organs.
hold
Let me
your
come to this
peace.
point. Let me
Yes.
come to this point. Because we don't have to copy bad manners from NRM with their poor eating habits. Okay?
Just complete this
and,
point.
and I want to complete this point. That using state apparatus paid by taxpayers' money to do internal party work is totally wrong, is an abuse of office, is actually misuse of our resources, and those people must refund that money.
I think
Secondly, party issues must be resolved within the party, and therefore using party organs. Now, issues of security should not be confused. Objective criticism should not be confused with subversion. Those organs of the state which deal with security
David, why now?
continue to do their work quietly.
The working methods
Listen,
of NRA is
they
that
continue-
we don't leave anything to chance
No,
when it comes to security.
no. Listen,
Charles has a bit of information.
for
to
example,
And I don't
for example,
can I give you this information?
fine.
give. Yes.
Where the problem is, as soon as they passed the resolution for sole candidature, it was
A game
supposed-
changer.
It was supposed to be popularized.
4
during-
million per
let me
sub-county.
finish,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And when they are going to popularize it, they discovered those that are pro-Amam. You get, because there was resistance. So wherever there was resistance, they discovered those that, and they want to minimize them. Because initially it was free entry into Nambore during the election of the Secretary General, etc. So and the purpose of this vetting is to weed out those that will oppose.
Can I give
this
him information?
resolution.
Point of
No,
information.
And that's why they are using
A point of
He was giving
information.
me
Let me
information.
get back to
He was
David
giving
now.
me
Now,
information.
if it's
I'll
about-
come to you,
if
Morrison.
it's
I just wanted to give him information.
Listen,
If
guys,
it's
I
about-
listened to you when you were
I'm
talking.
giving that information.
Okay.
If it's about vetting, to know who the members are, FDC was able to do it. You can have an internal mechanism to know that Rwaka Kamba is a member from this district, from this sub-county as a delegate, without necessarily using the state apparatus.
That's why there's a
David,
district.
conclude.
That's why there's a
I need
district
to go to
chairperson
Morrison.
for the party. That's why there's administrative secretary for the party in the district. That's why these organs are there. So
David, answer
now
my,
let me come
answer
back to
this
this
now.
point.
Why now? Why is
Excellent.
the NRM
Excellent.
moving
A game changer.
overtly and outrightly to the state apparatus and not go using their administrative, because they have administrative
ground-
secretaries.
the-
They have the widest network in this country.
Now things are changing, Peter Kibaso. The day this sole candidature thing was smuggled and brought through an organ which has no power to push this through, that's caucus of NRM in Chankwanzi. And then the day they decided to take them to 4 million per sub-county, and there was conflict over that money, you saw, it divided the party even further. Even the group of the Namayanjas, the Tuodongs, the Tumwesijes, and so, who went around the country, they have discovered there's a problem. And therefore now, they are putting extra measures. Like, for example, in my district,
Would it be a problem?
Listen, a bus,
David, let me ask
a
you.
bus is
No,
coming to the
hold,
district
hold,
police
Da-
station.
David. David, if you run a political party, would it be a problem to do a double cover of who you expect at a particular meeting, ensure that they are the right people that you expect, so you don't
Excellent.
have cover?
You use your own party organs. You don't use state apparatus. You don't use government resources to do party work.
Thank
That's
you
the
very
point
much.
I'm making.
Thank you
And
very much.
Can I
therefore,
make-
and
can I-
therefore,
Yes, I'm coming to Morrison, but can I have Ndugu Frank Tumwebazi on the set, the comments that he made today that Charles was referring to earlier, that I happen not to have watched, by the way.
It is true, we are getting a lot of information. There are those who are being mobilized to destabilize our conference, we are aware. There are even serious information that some people want to harm the delegates, saying that they can run away and not go to Nambore. You can see how some people are cowards. There are those who are mobilizing delegates, non-delegates, to come and overwhelm us at Nambore, such that if we chase them away, like we shall, of course, they go out and claim to the media that they are denied entry because of being somebody's supporters, but in essence they are not delegates. Then there is also a strategy that if we can allow some of them by accident, then they have a reason to go to court. You know, so far all their court cases are collapsing.
Thank you. For those specific reasons, would you fault the NRM for doing double check on security measures? If you think some people will infiltrate you, if you think some people are preparing to cause
Kill
chaos,
delegates.
even kill delegates, would you fault them for doing a double check?
You
on
report to the police
Thank you, David.
and allow the police to do their work.
You see, Rugomshana says that there was a team that found that they are supporters of Amama Babas in the district. This,
Frank insinuates that.
no, this meeting is not about who supports who, by the way. It is a constitutional meeting, and those who are delegates...
Morrison, have you missed Frank's observation?
I am making this point, and I want it to be clear. This meeting, the people who are supposed to attend it are constitutional, they were elected, and they are known. Do you see? So whether you are, if you are a chairman, for instance, of Amur district or which other district, it's not about who you support. By being a chairperson of NRM for
You're
Amadat
entitled.
district, you are a legal delegate at the national conference. And this vetting that we have spent a lot of time on, it is not about accrediting NRM members or saying who is an NRM member. It's for security reasons in this era of terrorism. And mark you can claim to be an NRM member when you are involved in subversive activities. So it is the business. It is the business of the chairperson of the security committee of the security committee to make sure that people who are moving from point A to point B are cleared, are known, and that we have a hassle-free conference. Rugomushan and others talk about a sole candidate. This issue of a sole candidate was a decision, a resolution made by an organ of a party, which will be subjected to other organs of the party to debate. And even this issue of sole candidate that people talk about, I think the opposition has started it even legally. They combined together in Amuru.
Not in primaries.
They dedicated the sole candidate, and the sole candidate won and became an MP. So these are conversations which I think Chibazo
Let me get to the bigger one now.
Okay.
And across the table, I'll start with you, Morrison, go to Charles, and come back to David. What do you expect in the
We
NRM?
have left Frank to whoever is.
You'll make your comment. You'll make your comment. But let me see the best and worst that you expect in the delegates conference on Monday. You can include Frank's, because Frank's worst is if people barge in and even cause terrorism and kill people. What is the best and worst you expect in a very brief?
No, the best we expect is a hassle-free conference where only legal delegates attend and deliberate in a very good environment about issues of their party, and that those resolutions are implemented by the chairman and his team. So we expect a hassle-free and moving forward to deepen and strengthen the institutional
And you
capacity of
expect-
NRM, but also be able to emerge as even a much more cohesive party to win elections in 2016 by 80%.
And you expect also that the constitutional amendments that have come through the chain will really just be ratified by the delegates.
It's not about ratification, it's about discussion, sharing points of view, and then ratification.
Now, let me ask you a
So
very
there are so
gut
many,
question.
there are actually so many proposals. It's
Morrison,
not that
Morrison,
every proposal will be
you
agreed
and
on.
I come from a specific industry or group of thought, but tell me, do you really think that 10,000 people seated in a football stadium anywhere in the world, be it China, be it the Duma in Russia, would sit and discuss anything?
And in one day,
And I need to tell you, by the way, and inform viewers, that the acting secretary general issued a legal notice asking the members from across the country
You haven't answered my question.
submit proposals. So I'm saying most of the proposals that are going to be discussed, debated, and ratified, they are from members. So most of them are aware of those proposals.
You've put it well. It's going to be ratified.
No,
because for me,
debated, discussed, ratified, because those views, those proposals have emerged from members that submitted them to the acting secretary general, and the legal committee
look at
has
this
been
picture.
receiving them.
Look at this picture.
Yes.
Kirasha in Nakivogo Stadium,
Yes.
seated. Would you ever expect them to
by
give
those
me
are
a
more
thought?
organized because
No,
they
no, no.
come for football.
I am
This one
saying
we
that
don't know.
when all these views came to Prot 10, they were sieved, they were, and they are going to be moved to the Central Executive Committee of few members. Again, look at them. Then they go to the National Executive Committee, which is NEC.
And they will proclaim.
They will be sieved,
Thank you.
and then they will be taken to the Supreme Organ
Thank you.
to again be debated
Charles,
and delivered.
Your worst and best that you expect of
Yeah,
Nambole Monday.
The theme of the meeting is consolidating cohesion.
Yes.
And SEC made
Was it creating cohesion or consolidating cohesion?
Consolidating. That's their theme. Now, when you interrogate it to get their mind, and you look
They
at
should have used me as an editor. I'm sure they should have used the word creating cohesion, not consolidating
I mean, for
cohesion.
them, they
So
say
the
it's possible.
cohesion is already there, so it is to deepen it.
I hope-
Morrison, I'm talking about creating, not
No, it's
consolidating.
already there. It's cohesion already.
Yes, Charles. The worst and best.
That is the theme. So its background is in the various SEC, Central Executive Committee meetings that culminated in compelling Amama Mbabazi to take leave. Because the objective was still to consolidate cohesion. That was the theme. If you are following the media, if you are following what was coming out of there. And there is resistance. Now, it is this resistance, internally, by the way, that is culminating in the statement of the minister in charge of the presidency, saying that the intelligence they have, credible intelligence, that delegates could even be killed. We have not had this before. But it's coming from the background of their strategy of exclusion, that the national resistance movement has always wanted to exclude to the Jeko, those who dissent. And it has now reached the climax. The Amama Mbabazi's group and those who believe in him are saying, you can't exclude us, we die together. And it has happened in South Sudan when Salva Kiir attempted to exclude all that team of the Riek Machar, Pegan Moon and the others. So my best and worst case scenario is that the delegates conference will not take place.
Now,
I love Charles.
now the issue is this.
Your worst and best case
First of all,
scenario.
the worst thing for Uganda is if Amama Mbabazi decides to keep quiet and keep quiet forever and does not offer himself, and if those who support him
Was that best or
allow,
worst?
no, this is the worst part. If you allow President Museveni to impose his will upon members of NRM, upon the country, then you will bring a fraud, okay, fraudulently arrived at in Chankwanzi, sold using money, and even brought now using RDCs. And now even as the buses leave the district, they will leave from the police station of the district.
David,
I'm
I
giving
didn't
you-
want
I'm
to
giving you
inter-
information.
No, let me just ask a question around that, and you still have the microphone.
Nobody is supposed to talk to them inside the bus. The police will be there. They will be taken to specific hotels where again the state apparatus will be,
SFC.
and then there will be FFC. Reservists are being called. Special forces are being called. A lot of deployment we have never seen before is being called, and we say why? And then they are supposed to sign certain documents inside their hotels
David,
before
still
they
dealing
go.
with your worst.
Yes.
Was that the worst?
That's the worst. That,
yes,
that
still
you
dealing with
guard
your worst,
people.
David. I need to do a bit of probing of this. If indeed the NRM's candidate, as will be, shall be a fraud, where is the place of the citizenry of this country? You're telling me that we have 35 million people in this country that are dumb, deaf, and dead in the brain. They cannot see through a fraud
Times have
and
changed.
say, boy, stop. Give us a break.
You can do that for some time, but what I want to say, you will not do it all the time. Citizens are beginning to wake up, okay? And therefore, that's where then the turmoil will come. If you allow President Museveni to impose his will, and in a fraudulent way like this, using state apparatus, intimidation, marshalling the special forces, doing all kinds of things like the games is playing now. If that takes place, then seeds for turmoil
Why
will,
do I
will be
see
sown.
a cowardly David?
No, but I'm telling you that this is the worst case. Because you see, even Idi Amin was man enough. Idi Amin there was no pretense like there is in President Museveni. He declared himself like president. He suspended the constitution. He dissolved parliament. He ruled by decree.
What is the best?
This one is hiding behind
What is
all
the
these
best that
games,
can happen?
but the effect is the same. The best situation will be for internal democracy and like he said, an incident-free or hassle-free delegates conference to take place, and the atmosphere of discussing and really genuinely arriving at decisions. That will be good for Uganda. good for NRM, and good for the whole country, good for the future.
Wouldn't
But-
your best, David, be
but-
actually if
Listen.
in the NRM conference
No.
there was a fracas, there was furor, and people threw chairs at themselves,
But-
and possibly
but-
President
but-
Museveni is ejected
I've
from
told
there?
you that it will be, of course, if he allows that, then he's losing this bid for sole candidature. He's losing it. Should he allow freedom to prevail, he's going to lose it because he doesn't have that sole candidature in his
Because
bag
if
at
you
the
can
moment.
have the Mama Mbabazi in,
Yeah.
in Mbarara, where they have invited the media practitioners and owners.
And he's owning a radio.
And you have a district police commander telling him in the face not to address his colleagues. How would you expect freedom in Ambori?
Now,
Ugandans know that freedom
the
reigns in this country.
The point that I'm making is that all these extra measures NRM is heightening do not promise good for Uganda. Either they are hitting a panic button or they are actually
There is a
into some
problem.
mischief.
No, it's
And therefore they are
constitutionalism.
not telling
It
citizens
is to
the
make
right
sure
thing.
that the meeting happens according
so
to the
issue
constitution.
the issue then is, now, if, for example, there is freedom, like I've met youth who say, yes, we'll support sole candidature, but their sole candidate is going to be Amama Mbabazi. But the NRM, the Musevenists in this thing are downplaying the sole candidature because they have found it smells, it stinks, it's bad, it's divisive.
Is that NRM or is that
No,
David
the
Pulkon?
Musevenists. So they have just discovered all of a sudden that they have actually taken us to a toilet. And so they are trying to run away from it and trying to say this is a normal NRM thing. But it's going to be smuggled in. You remember he said AOB. AOB means agenda outside business. Okay? So any other business, okay, I think that's what others say. So this thing about sole candidature and the manner in which delegates are gagged to the hall, even to come to do accreditation and so forth, it has nothing to do with security.
Point of information.
Because NRM should leave the security organs. After all, we are professionalized.
I need to get to Morrison
to do
now.
the job.
That's point of
Morrison, plus your point of information. I need this to tell me, why do I get this scaremongering that for all I care, my friend Frank goes on national telly and says, we are afraid people may come and kill people, people will cause chaos if we lock them out. Why is the scaremongering? Where is the paranoia coming from?
Is the Kabaka not
no,
picking
no.
the telephone calls like we saw citizens dying just because
Well, this has
somebody
nothing to
refused?
do with the
Kabaka. I want to know.
We
Because
have
we
a-
saw citizens dying. Just because somebody did not
one of the
refuse.
David,
most,
I'm asking the questions.
One of the most important tenets of democracy is a civil debate, and so we have one moderator. And thank you, Kibazo. I need to mention that acts of criminality happen all over the world, and the role of security is to make sure that, because is to make sure that they don't happen. So the NRM is leaving nothing to chance to make sure that it engages in a constitutional delegates conference. So criminals, this is the era of terrorism. You saw what happened in Kenya. You saw what is happening in all these places. So a meeting of 10,000 people, some could be civil criminals, pickpocketers. We need to be aware. That's why today there was a press conference where the NRM also warned delegates that when you come to Kampala, when you're traveling, be aware there could be people with criminal intentions, and the police will be ready to engage with them. But if there are those who have got terrorism or terror intentions, then the forces and the intelligence services of this country that David Purkor and Charles Womshana participated in building will have the clear capability to engage with them. Should that be a problem? I don't think.
Intelligence monitors all the cells of these people.
So whichever
and you don't have to
deployment,
talk about it.
let's have a civil debate. So whichever deployment we have, it is about making sure that all of us, whether we are NRM, whether we are non-NRM, whether we don't support a sole candidate, whether we support a sole candidate, we are all safe, and we have a hassle-free meeting, debate democratically, and move forward. And as you know, the point of information I wanted to give is that one of key principles in the NRM ideology is democracy. And when you look at NRM and look at the contestation that happens within NRM, if you observe the 2010 primaries, the sheer geography of contestation in NRM primaries It has never happened, even across the region in Nairobi, in Kenya, and other places. Most of these other political parties just they handpick flag bearers. For NRM, there is that concentration of contestation.
That
you.
violence
Okay.
was brought to the national level.
gentlemen,
Which other political party does that?
no.
They go to
That
Amur.
way-
They go to Amur. Do you know what they do?
That
Sole
bad way-
candidate for all
That
the
bad way
opposition.
of doing business was brought to the national level.
that has to be
I'll
brought
get
on
off the
board.
set.
Did you
I
see?
have only 4 minutes.
Yes,
4 minutes.
And this is what we're doing
4
with them.
minutes.
Chaz, you have a minute. Morrison a minute and David a minute. I'll start with Chaz, then David, then shoot it off with Morrison.
Thank you.
And I need you to touch one thing, funding. Who is funding this? What is it costing?
It's the latest information I have is that each delegate will, first and foremost, the adverts, because all media is carpeted with adverts. And when we're in the break,
And boy, we are making money.
and when we're in the break, you saw the song, not about the amendments of the constitution, but the achievements the chairman has made, not the achievements the NRM has made. The chairman.
Chaz, for purely business purposes, I can tell you they can have a delegates conference every month.
Yeah, but you know, you are in my minute and
Go ahead,
you
go ahead.
haven't paid for it. So the adverts already, I was on Radio 1, it took more than 20 minutes. So they're spending a lot of money on adverts. And each
Let them
delegate,
do that every month.
each delegate is going to be getting around 2 million shillings every day.
Against 10,000 delegates.
More than 10,000.
So 10,000 delegates by 2 million shillings,
And-
what figure
and
does it give me?
This money is not from the members of the party. The party doesn't do any business. It is from the pocket of the chairperson of the party. But allow me say this.
The great magnanimous leader of the party.
Yeah, allow me
And
say.
Gaddafi is gone.
Allow me say this. That when you see the minister of the presidency say delegates are going to be killed. Now the question is, why would the Ugandan want to kill a delegate, a councillor from a village who has come to participate in the politics of his party? So when you see a drunkard say, "Me, I have taken my beer. Have you seen me abuse anybody? Me, I haven't abused anybody. I'm peaceful." Then you know there is a problem.
Thank you. David,
Yes.
talk about the issue of funding.
Money is always spent, but the question is whose
Whose
money?
money?
That's the difference. From here, unexplained source. Gaddafi used to be, okay, is gone.
Okay. I didn't
Two-
know about Gaddafi.
two- I mean,
I've read about Gaddafi in the
it
war.
was public knowledge, okay? Now, secondly, they are not fundraising. They don't have Milton Obote Foundation doing business for NRM.
Well, someone
Okay.
may have been
Listen,
fundraising in Abu Dhabi
even-
recently.
Listen, I was in charge of trying to, after that election, where a lot of goods arrived and people brought goods into the country without paying taxes, and others were underselling and others were not. If you remember the VAT strike, okay, it was what was that outfit of NRM at the time where
Dance.
Dance was involved, and those in the URA and so forth. So, that's a different chapter. It's a different.
So where
ball
is
game.
the fundraising now?
The issue here is that
Katosi Road.
the governor spoke the other day. And then there are all these new Katosis projects. Can you imagine
And
the railway project where the Ethiopia is doing much lower, and then Kenya is doing twice
We'll discuss the
Ethiopia.
railway once again on
Yeah, we
another
shall
show.
come back. And Uganda is doing 5 times the cost Ethiopia is doing, and yet Ethiopia is mountainous than
That-
this.
that
and then
is
the Attorney
fundraising?
General,
That
is
is
telling
fundraising?
you, who said that actually, and I need told them.
No,
directly-
David, your minute is
the
almost
minister
done.
here was saying that Everett Tomebase was the one who directed them to sign. Okay? And then the Attorney General is already saying.
Sometimes I think
they have
they are
taken their
giving,
commissions.
No, David.
Let me come
David,
back.
Let me give you
come
my
back. Let me
feel
come
on
back
that. Hold here. I think these ministers that are yapping and yelling about, about the yapping and crying out about Tumwebaze's name are
groaning.
giving Tumwebaze too many pips that he doesn't actually have.
But of course,
I know.
Also, young people like Tomebase also take advantage of some vacuum and being proximate to the president to do things which
So
the
if
president-
you've created a vacuum in your ministry, shut up.
Actually, the president is very vulnerable. I have worked with the
Thank you,
president,
David.
and I know that the people take advantage of him. So he needs to be protected
You
somehow.
were one of them,
Now,
weren't
the point, yeah, that's why I'm telling you.
David,
that,
I'm going to Morrison.
the point-
I have to get out of here.
the point I'm
Otherwise,
saying-
he won't be
But you already
speaking.
made the point.
This is
What's the
taxpayers' money.
Where everybody
Morrison.
pays taxes. You think you're the only person who pays
Morrison.
taxes?
No, but must it be used
Where
for
are you
internal party work?
getting the 2 million times 10,000 people times the
When
400,000
you don't
that
pay
was
your
given
debts?
previously for those that have been trekking to State
let
House?
me first
You don't pay rent, you
let
don't pay
me
debts.
let me make this clear that the issue of 2 million and many days is speculative, and
How much is
Rumshana
it?
has no information.
How much is it?
It is still being calculated, and let me tell you that meetings
As
could be more.
No.
As they are spending.
No,
There's no
David,
approved
David,
budget.
David, allow Morrison.
There's no approved budget.
And let me tell you that the meeting of the National Delegates Conference will take 1 day. So the days that Rumshana is talking about
It's beginning with next
are
week
not
and everything.
are not clear. I also need to mention that the NRM political party is a mass party that gets contributions from members, that gets mandatory contributions from its members of parliament.
Do you speak
a
to your
political
heart?
party?
How much
No,
are
listen, listen. A political party that has friends, sister political parties, Frelimo, ANC, and all these other things. So I need to tell
Don't
Ugandans.
put ANC in this.
I need to tell Ugandans that apart from this speculation from my colleagues here and my friends and the night dancing, we are going to have a very successful national delegates conference, and NRM will deliberate and deepen democracy, first of all internally within NRM, but also deepen democracy to deliver services for the people of Uganda.
Thank you.
Bank of Uganda.
Listening to Morrison's last message, I want my marketing guys to generate an invoice for me, if not for the show, at least for me, so I'm paid for the advert of the
It will not
NRM's.
take
No, I'm honoring you for honoring
Right, viewers, by the time we catch you on Friday next week, the delegates conference will have happened. And definitely we'll be picking the pieces from that. I wish the folks there great luck. Good night.